The italics that we use would go the other direction too. I just thought that'd be kind of an interesting sort of weird way to go about it. So who were these drivers? Most of them, they were just average guys. A lot of them were chauffeurs for rich guys, let's call it. And so they were decent mechanics. They were sportsmen, of course. Some of them had raced bicycles before. Barney Oldfield was a bicycle racer, and he was one of the older guys that was around for a long time. Professional race drivers didn't come on until the late 19 teens. And by professional, I mean guys who specifically wanted to race cars for a living. And so they developed their skills and they learned the craft that way. Today, guys can start in go-karts, go to midgets, go to this, go to that, and then build up to the big leagues kind of thing. Back then, there was no big leagues. I mean, there was only one league, and there was no way to get there except get in and do it. So a lot of these guys were just local drivers. Some of them went on to some degree of fame. Barney Oldfield, of course. Eddie Pullen wound up winning the grand prize in 1914. Jonah Krent was a local guy. He won several good races in the Buick and the light car races. He's one of my favorite characters just because that's what's racing togs. He's got that big sweater on, got them honking hands, these big old steering wheels, all that power steering is right there, buddy, I'm telling you. And these guys had to go for 200 miles, which would often take 3 to 4, 5 hours. These guys on the roads, bouncing around, wondering the whole time, are they even going to make it? And it was noisy, and it was crazy. Oldfield was famous for having a cigar. Now, when he was racing, he always had the cigar, but it was never lit. He just had it in there to make sure his teeth didn't mash together the whole time that he was driving around. So it became a bit of his trademark for that.
You can see the raccoon eyes on that one.
Oh yeah. This is just after the racer, and you can see that reverse raccoon sort of look. You got to kind of look at him there on Oldfield. That's great. Another guy that was really fun is a local guy, Teddy Tetzlaff, and there he is there. This is a movie called Speed Kings. And Speed Kings was shot in 1913 during the 1913 race. It was a Max Sennett comedy. This is actual race footage. You can see there's race footage like this. And then there's canned footage where they actually got the car and they put a camera in it and they do this kind of thing with it.
So that's real smoke coming out of the vacuum.
This is smoke from the oil, and it's also dust off of the track itself. But you can see there's race footage and the whole bit here. Now, the gist of the movie is that Mabel Norman, who's our heroine, wants to marry a race car driver, and her dad says, okay, I want you to marry this guy. She says, well, I don't like that guy. I like that guy. And he said, well, okay, whoever wins the race gets my daughter. And so it's a Max Sennett comedy from 1913. But part of the reason they shot this out here in Santa Monica is that the movie industry was really constrained by the Edison Company in New York on the West Coast. You had to use their stuff. You had to use their actors, their equipment, and there were a lot of union rules and whatever else that came into play. Come out to California, you're not confronted by any of that. It was more open, more free. There's Mabel Norman, our heroine, and had the whole bit. That's Fatty Arbuckle there. That was great fun. So he sabotaged the car. Dad sabotaged the car. They got to stop by the road. The guy's going to pass him. The whole thing. It's great fun. Well, what happened with the movie industry was they came out to Los Angeles, and all of a sudden they had open space. They had bright sunshine all the time. A lot of the very early silent movies that were shot with indoor scenes, they were shot without a ceiling, no roof, because they were using the light from the sun. So it's great fun. If you watch really old silent movies, you can see some on YouTube, it works out really well because if you watch really close, you can kind of pick up, hey, wait a minute, where's that? It's exactly what was happening. But that's a big part of why the industry came out here, was to get away from the oppressive world of the vertical cities of back east, which is why a lot of people came to Santa Monica in the first place. So here's Mabel. She's talking to the winner of the race, Earl Cooper. He won the race. She said, well, you're cute, but I like Teddy. So she hops in the car and rides off with Teddy Tetzlaff. And that was Speed Kings from 1913, a Max Sennett comedy. It's about 10 minutes long. Oh, it's great stuff.
What speed were they hitting, do you think?
In those days, you were running about 85 to 90 miles an hour.
Holy smokes,
Easy.
wooden wheels?
Easy. And here you go. Here's a look at the cars. 1912. Again, this is another Fiat. This is Caleb Bragg, 1912. Again, with wooden spokes, chain drive, hair for helmets. Here's a fully grown guy standing right there. You can see the cowl on that thing is shoulder height.
200 horsepower.
200 horsepower. Could turn about, what, 1,300, 1,500 RPM
13.
on a good day?
After that, you're
Yeah.
picking up the rods.
After that, yeah. Well, my buddy, Teddy Tetzlaff, his nickname was Terrible Teddy Tetzlaff. And it wasn't because he was a bad guy, it was because he abused his machinery. He would go wide open and he would either break or win. And he won a fair amount of races, was all good. So that was 1912. You could see that car. By just 2 years later, the cars had gotten shorter, a little narrower. You can see he's built a cowl up here to help direct some of the airflow to keep himself cool. But he still has wooden spokes, still has chain drive. This is Ralph De Palma carrying a spare tire, as you can clearly see there. And he's coming around Dead Man's Curve, the telltale palm tree up there. And just a few years later, they got into specialized racing cars. Now you can almost imagine carriage work on these other guys, which would have been original to the car, and they stripped them down and go racing. This is a real racing car, though. This is a Delage. It has wire spokes. The chain drive action is gone. Sleek down body, the whole bit. This happens to be Eddie Rickenbacker, later to be known as Captain Eddie Rickenbacker, World War I flying ace. He learned his skills as a mechanic and all that, being an auto salesman, and then he went on to driving race cars, and he was quite successful and a very popular guy. The other thing is, he's very superstitious. Notice here? Cupid doll. And he was known for having a Cupid doll on the hood of his car all the time. Eddie Pullen used to get a baby shoe, and he would rivet it to his dashboard, and he would use that as his good luck charm. Others, like Oldfield and a couple others, had a poem written by their wife, would be in their pocket, that sort of thing, for their good luck charm. But Rickenbacker had that. I don't know if he carried that over into his airplane or not, but he was also known for catching a bat, getting a live bat, kill it probably, I would hope so, and then he would tie it to his steering wheel, and he would drive with that as well. It just, who knows? Well, your superstitions are silly, mine are real. So that's how that works. Here you go, by 1919. This is a real racing car. It's purpose-built. It's no longer a stripped-down stock car. It's not a modified car in any way. It's a purpose-built race car by 1919. And in order to be competitive, it had to be. Wire wheels, streamlined body, custom exhaust, the whole bit.
That Leo Carrillo there's down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, not that guy.
That guy. Leo Carrillo.
His dad was the early police chief there, and actually the first mayor of Santa Monica.
There we
So
go.
he was a real local boy.
The beach is named after?
Yep, the beach is named after him. That's
Yeah,
it.
He was a conservationist, and in honor of the work he did, they named that beach for him.
So why would people race? Well, because you could be made famous. Why would the city want to hold auto races? Because you could be made famous. If you get made famous, people want to come and see you. People want to come and live in your town. Well, Harris Hanshoe was our 1909 winner, and you can see you get this, and he also got headlines across the country. And what happens is, people in Chicago look at this and they say, wait a minute, it's early May. We got rain and mud and dirt and crud outside our window here.
No.
They're actually driving cars out in Santa Monica. Honey, we're moving. And they did. So they would come out to Santa Monica, and that's why the city wanted to hold the races, was to attract attention. Plus, they had the auto dealers to help create some infrastructure to give people a reason to move to. Because if you move to a place, you think about it, you want to move by the dirt road, or you want to move by the paved road? Let's go for the paved road, keep the dust down and the whole bit, and that's what it was about. Easy to think about Santa Monica in terms of today. Well, that's not what it was like. It was just a big, dirt, dusty lot. It really wasn't very good farmland either. So there wasn't a lot of that farming industry going on out here as well. So, yep.
Does that Dick Ferris have anything to do with the Ferris wheel?
Nope, different guy. But you'd get the big silver cups that were solid silver and the whole bit. You get a fistful of cash and the whole bit, and that's why people would want to come out and race.